Hello everyone, welcome back to Spectrum Classes. In this video, we are going to determine the chemical oxygen demand of a given sample by titrometric method. Right, this can also be elaborated in this form to determine the COD, that is chemical oxygen demand, using K2Cr2O7 potassium dichromate and FAS solution by titrometric method. We have two different type of indicators for this. Usually we use ferroin indicator to get the precise reading, and here ferroin is iron complex of orthophenanthroline. Orthophenanthroline is 110 phenanthroline, right? And this is used as an internal indicator in this redox titration. But I do not have this ferroin indicator, so I have an alternative. I can use K3FeCN6 potassium ferrocyanide, but this potassium ferrocyanide is used as an external indicator. Now here about the indicator, I am just going to elaborate few things and then I'm just going to show you in the lab activity. So here we are having this K3FeCN6 as an external indicator. So we put it on the glaze tile and initially there is no color change, but at the end point it shows the Persian blue color. So here this is the potassium ferrocyanide, the color is this, and we are just putting this in this manner, these drops, right? And now we are just going to check whether the color is changing or not. So here with the reaction mixture it doesn't give any color, and I'm just going to show you how it changed the color. So this is the reaction mixture, and here I'm just going to take the solution, and here you can see this color is changed to Persian blue. Initially it was not changed, but here it changes to Persian blue. So this is the mechanism for this potassium ferrocyanide. I'm just going to show you. The reaction takes place over here is K3FeCN6, which is our indicator. This on reaction with ferrous ions, as soon as it gets the ferrous ions, it turns out to be Fe3FeCN6, and this gives Persian blue color. Now the reactions of our titration. So this can be written in two different forms. One is in the molecular form, other one is in the ionic form. So I'm just going to collect both the reactions in the molecular form as well as in the ionic form. So here K2Cr2O7, to which we have added H2SO4 solution, right? And there is a reaction between these two, K2SO4 Cr2SO4 whole thrice 4H2O plus this nascent oxygen is formed. In the reaction vessel we are having K2Cr27, and from the burette we are just going to add FAS. So no free FAS is there, and as soon as I will take the drop of this reaction mixture, I will put it over there, so no change in color. So this is the reaction K2Cr2O7 H2SO4. This gives this kind of reaction from which nascent oxygen is developed, and this nascent oxygen is reacting with the FAS solution, and it forms ferrous to ferric. Right, here it is having FeSO4, here we are having Fe2SO4 whole thrice, and since here 3 nascent oxygen is there, so on multiplying this equation by 3, then we simply add both the reactions and we get this molecular equation. It will be better you understand it in the ionic form. We are having this 14H and 6 electrons, 2 plus 3 plus this side. Fine, I hope you understand. Otherwise I am just going to make a complete video on this balancing of redox reactions. Now this ferrous Fe2 plus changing to Fe3 plus. Now multiply it by 6, because in the previous equation we are having 6, but here in this equation we are having 1. Now on balancing these two equations we are getting this, and here again 6 electrons takes place in this equation 1, and 1 electron is involved in equation number 2. Now how to perform the experiment? So here two steps are there. Standardization of FAS, which you have prepared first of all. Now here I have written the procedure of standardization of FAS, and reverse of it is the procedure of titration of K2Cr2O7 versus FAS, right? Take 50 ml of water sample for which I need to determine the COD. Now I am going to transfer this 50 ml solution to the round bottom flask, and to this solution I am going to add n by 10 K2Cr2O7 solution 25 ml. To this solution mixture, I am going to add 1 ml of H2SO4 concentrated. Now I am just going to put this solution mixture on the water bath for refluxing for 2 hours. And here you can see it is initially 60 degrees centigrades water bath was set, but since its temperature increases, therefore I initially adjust it at 60 degree. Now we are just going to put the water in the condenser tube. You can see here is the outlet through which water is going out. So this is used to condense the vapors, and this solution is left over there for refluxing. So here you can see the vapors that get condensed. Here these vapors get condensed started, and you can see the color of the solution as well. But meanwhile I was unable to capture the images or video, but after keeping it 2 hours on refluxing, we just close the condenser water and leave it for coming down to room temperature. I am now removing the condenser, and I am also removing the reaction mixture which is refluxed over there, and I directly transfer it to the conical flask which is previously dried and washed. This is ready for titration. So in the burette you can see the 0 mark, and this is FAS solution which is previously standardized, and its concentration I will show you while I will show the reactions and calculations. Since I do not have internal indicator which is ferroin, I am having K3FeCN6 which is used as an external indicator, and here I just capped all the drops of this K4FeCN6 on this washed glaze tile. So here I am showing you how we kept the drops on this glass tile, and this is the water in the beaker to wash the glass rod. Now we start titrating our solution reaction mixture against this FAS solution. So I am initially add 1 ml of FAS solution to this reaction mixture, and now after wiped off this glass rod, I am just going to put the reaction mixture with this external indicator. So no color change is observed over there, therefore it suggests no reaction is complete. This is my second drop. After adding 1 ml each time, I am just going to check with the reaction mixture and indicator reaction whether color is changed or not, right? So this procedure we are doing again and again till the end point is reached. So here I am just going to tell you, you can easily understand whether you are about to reach your end point or not. So here you can continuously keep on checking your color of the reaction mixture. So here you can see yellowish, so no end point reached till this moment, right? So no reaction mixture changed the color, and here I am just going to again titrating it. So here no color change is observed again. The next I am again going to add. You can see the change in color of the reaction mixture. So it changes to greenish. Now again check whether the color is changed or not. So no color is changed. The change in color of the reaction mixture, it is greenish. This greenish color is just because of chromium, and now I'm just going to check. So here you can see the change in color. So this change in color is just because of FAS. So it forms Fe3 FeCN6, right? And here is the volume consumed at the end point. So this is 23.4 ml of FAS consumed against this reaction mixture. Similarly, we titrate our blank solution. In the blank solution, instead of sample water, we are just taking the deionized water, and we did the same thing. We reflux it for 2 hours and now we start titrating. So this is 23.4 and we keep on titrating it right from here. And for this blank solution we again put our indicator drops on the glaze tile. So I wash it thoroughly and now I again put all the drops on this glaze tile, and you can see number of drops I have put over there. And now I start titrating, and I have also kept my reaction solution which I previously titrated just for the reference for checking the color at the end point. So I again added 1 ml to this solution of blank and I checked whether the end point is reached. But you now pretty sure that when the color will change. So when we are getting this greenish color, only then we need to be very precise to determine the end point. So I again and again checked it. So just because of the length of the video, I just cut it down and I will show you the end point. So till this color, no end point reached, and now I make from the lab activity we have get the readings. So in the burette we are having our FAS. So normality of FAS, after standardization we get this, and this is filled in the burette, and the initial reading I have taken 50 ml of sample and 50 ml of blank. So here burette reading is 0 to 23.5 minus 0, 23.5, and here we started 23.5 to 48 and we get 24.5. So on subtracting from this blank to our sample, we get 1 ml. Right now the question comes, why for blank we are having more value? Because some of the K2Cr2O7 in case of our sample is consumed in oxidizing the available impurities. Therefore the concentration of K2Cr2O is less in case of sample as compared to the blank. That is why we have more reading over here and less reading over here. And on subtracting we can say for the impurities this much of FAS is consumed. Now the calculation part. So calculation can be done in two different ways. One is either with this molarity equation, if you have prepared your solutions in molar solutions, right? If you have prepared your solutions in the normal, then you can do the calculation with this, right? So here I am just saying this is equivalent weight is molecular weight divided by n factor. So molecular weight is this much, n factor is this, means A1, the number of electrons involved. So this is 6, n by 10 normal solution. Now the calculation part. So calculation I am just going to do with N1 V1 is equal to N2 V2. So since I am just going to determine the chemical oxygen demand against FAS, so normality of this sample I do not know, this is questionable, and 50 ml of sample I have taken. This 50 ml FAS I know about this FAS. So for this FAS we are having this molar solution, this much from the equation, and 1 ml of FAS is consumed for this solution. So on solving we get this much of normal solution. This to determine it in grams, so normal into equivalent weight of oxygen, this comes to this here, right, into equivalent weight of oxygen, this is the 8, right? On multiplying these two we get this much. So if I convert it into milligrams from grams, then I need to multiply it by 1000. So by multiplying it by 1000 I got 17.28 milligrams per liter. And here again this milligram per liter can also be converted, can also be called ppm. So 17.28 ppm, or you can say 17.28 milligrams per liter is the chemical oxygen demand of a given sample, which is quite less. I hope you understand and you find this video helpful. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you all. Thanks for watching.